Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. I'm joined Tuesday evening by my younger brother, Christian. Christian, how are we, mate?
Yeah, man, what's up? We've been quite busy tonight, haven't we? And it's a bit of a delayed one. Obviously, we're going to get into team of the season. It's a bit overdue, but it's given us a bit of time to digest on it and figure out who we want in there.
We knew we wanted to do it. It's just we hadn't got round to it. So hopefully people still might find it interesting. With obviously a few players that are in these teams. There's one player in my team that's moved. Already moved. So I won't want to give any more away. Let's get straight into it, Christine. Obviously, Carragher Neville did theirs. It's a big thing people do. You've gone 4-2-3-1, I believe. I've not seen your team. I've gone 4-3-3. So what we're going to do is we're going to get both on screen in a second. And we're going to go through. Well, it's going to be interesting. How many players have we both picked? If we've not picked the same player, we're going to sort of debate those two.
Chew the fat a little bit.
We want people watching to tell us which team they prefer, which player they prefer if we've differed, and go from there. And then I suppose conclusion, if my team played your team, who would win? Right.
Got you.
Let's get it. Okay, so I'm going to get both of them on screen now. There we go. Right, I think, can you see mine on there?
Interesting.
The 4-3-3 is mine, 4-2-3-1 yours. Obviously, you recognise your own. Right, okay. So, 1, there's definitely 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 at a glance are the same. Okay.
Yeah, there's a few differences.
Okay, that's pretty good going. I think that's probably about expected.
I put a bit of a wild card one in, which I reckon you'll be eyeballing, so I reckon we can get into that one.
Okay.
A little bit later.
Yeah, okay. Let's start with the goalkeeper. We've both picked Sells in there. Nottingham Forest deserves a massive shout out for his season, and obviously Forest's season, he's been a huge part of it, as well as the two centre-backs who we're going to come to in a minute. Obviously, I've selected one in there as well. So, look, I think joint Golden Glove coming into the season, you never would have had Sells in there. Great season. What more can you say about Sells, really?
Yeah, I don't really think that one's up for too much of a debate. I mean, some people like Raya, I suppose. I just think if you look at the pressure he had to sustain this season and the way they set up, for him to be as high up that chart as he is remarkable. So yeah, for me, deservedly in there, and yeah, I'm glad we agree on that one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, great. I do think Raya had a great season as well. He's made massive improvements.
Yeah, he did. He's come on leaps and bounds, to be fair.
Definitely, yeah. He was in my honourable mentions list, which I've sort of listed a few players, which I will try and bring in and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll go through that at the end. I've got a few, yeah.
Okay, decent. Okay, let's get to right back. Okay, we have gone with two different ones here. Obviously, Munoz had a great season. I have no issue with that, Christian.
You've got Timber.
And I was close with that. He was the only other one because the FA Cup final also sort of was in my head. Obviously, that was against your team. He was fantastic in that. He's had a great season. I think the only thing that swung it to me is I just thought of Timber in big games has been really good. And it's difficult because it's tough with Arsenal because they got the best defensive record in the league, but their season was bad, quote unquote bad, right?
Yeah.
Some of these smaller teams, Palace have had a great season, Forest have had a great season. It's sometimes hard to weigh up in your head. You're almost clouded your judgment on certain players. And I had Munoz, then I went Timber, and I was going a bit back and forth. So, look, I think Timber was the best right back in the league, but I appreciate your shout.
Yeah, I think the reason I've got Munoz, I think his performance in the FA Cup was superb against my team. And at the end of the day, if you look at what that means for the club in question, their first trophy is it their first trophy for 100 years or something crazy like that?
Yeah.
And look, I think he's had a great season in general anyway. I mean, if you look at his stats, I think he's got 4 goals, 5 assists in the Prem. So, I mean, if you look at that, and I think he's 29, he's come of age, I think you've seen a steady trajectory. I really like Munoz, and I'm not sure he is going to get a move, but I think he definitely deserves a mention. I certainly don't mind him going in my team of the season. But I hear you on Timber. I like Timber myself. I just think he's a little bit inconsistent with a bit glitchy with his injuries. Yeah, I do agree with you though. Every time I've seen him in a big game, he never seems to disappoint. He seems to be Mr. Reliable. So it's one of them. It's whatever you prefer. I've gone a little bit more offensive. You've gone for more, I suppose, Mr. Reliable.
Yeah.
There could be a few people watching this that might wonder why we're not going Trent. That me and Alex are quite aligned. I do like my right back to be able to defend, and ultimately he can. I do acknowledge how good he is going forward. I just think I can't get that out of my mind personally. I don't know your thoughts on it.
I think there's been seasons I would have had Trent. I think this season there's just been I do think like we don't watch every game. It's physically impossible to watch every Premier League game. You watch every game of your own club and everything you can of every other team. Things stick out. So when United played Liverpool in February or January, Trent Alexander-Arnold was an absolute disgrace. Even Liverpool fans were like, this guy can fuck off to Madrid. So things stick in your head. And I know they shouldn't because it's one game of 38, but sometimes it can sway your vote. Look, Trent's an exceptional player going forward. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I don't think his offensive output this year was enough to tip him, and he's had a lot of negative media around him. So yeah, I agree, Christian.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? I suppose it's personal preference with the you've gone Timber. Yeah. What do you think? Where can we go on this one? See, I do like offensive, and I think he is good defensively. He's good enough defensively, Munoz, and I just think for me, getting that FA Cup over the line, how good he was in the final. It does sort of swing. Arsenal had a bit of an underwhelming season. I'm not putting that on him, of course. I just think for what it means for both clubs, that's why I'd like to put him forward for that.
Yeah, go with Munoz. I'm happy with that. I was very close myself, to be fair. Okay, centre-backs, right, okay. So you've gone two big dogs at the back. One is, it's undeniable, Van Dijk. The fact he's this good and he's significantly past his best tells you how good he was 5 years ago. Pre-ACL, he was best centre-back in the world by an absolute distance. Just got everything you want as a centre-back. He's just Rolls Royce, really. And that 75 million signing in 2019 was worth it and some, really. And as much as it pains me to say it, he does deserve a second league title as well. And this one as captain.
Yeah. No, for sure, mate. There's no arguments. Look, you hit the nail on the head. He's the absolute Rolls Royce of defenders, isn't he? He sort of stops problems before they're problems. He's probably the smartest centre-back in world football. I think he sort of changed the game a little bit and how... He's a bit of a... I know people would go back and mention Rio and players such as, as them, but I think in this era, I do feel like he's a bit of a new breed of centre-back. For me, one of the greatest to ever play in the Prem. He changed Liverpool and made them a title challenger for me. That obviously they made them crucial signings. We know Salah, Mane, but for me, he was just pivotal. And the fact they've had him for this long and he's been as consistent as he has for this long, barring injuries. So no debate there.
I think you strip team achievements out of it. He is one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, for sure, mate.
No doubt about it. And to come back after the shocking injury from that pretty terrible tackle by Pickford in the COVID season, I think says a lot to hit. I mean, it was, it obviously a bad injury, missed a full season and came back, and he's been brilliant. He doesn't get injured now, which is remarkable, really. Obviously no complaints. Everyone's in line with that. Saliba, right? Okay, so let's get to the other two. You've gone William Saliba, who again is obviously in my thoughts. I have lent towards somebody that was very impressive. I felt every time I watched Forest, he was better than Milenkovic. Is it Milenkovic, his partner? Nikola Milenkovic? Yeah. I always felt that he was better of the two. Now, I've noticed that in a lot of teams, he's not got the nod over Milenkovic.
Yeah, Milenkovic seems to be the favoured one, doesn't he?
And I think I've got a theory about that, is that Milenkovic got more goals than Murillo. So, look, really like Murillo. I don't mind giving Forest 2 defensive players either. I think he's been aggressive. And I just, Saliba. My counter argument to you is, and I think he's fantastic, by the way, Saliba. He's one of the best young centre backs in the world. There's no doubt about that. When Gabriel got injured, he's not been as solid. They've looked to him. I know it was in the Champions League, but gifting Madrid a goal when they were coasting home. I do look at Saliba now and I'm like, oh, do you need Gabriel to not hold your hand, but, you see sometimes. And that's things weigh heavy in your head sometimes. So that's why I went Murillo. I thought he was better than Milenkovic. And, Saliba was good, but I did like Murillo.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it's funny you say this, right, because I was between Gabriel and I was between Saliba. And you know what? I'd put Gabriel in and then I took him out and put Saliba. It was a weird one. Saliba, a lot to do with his age. And I think if you look at Gabriel in previous seasons, I mean, everyone was calling him the bozo gene and he was like the laughing stock for a while. He's sort of come of age and he's superb now. Undoubtedly, like I say, he's one of the best centre-backs in the league. I was going to put him in there myself. I do hear your point, actually, with that one. And I think Saliba, the reason I went with him is for his age and what he's done and the way he plays. He's mature beyond his years.
Yeah.
I think it might have just been a weird thing with me. Look, he has had a decent season, Saliba, but he has cost them a couple of goals. I do listen to that point. I think I was more going for the, look, Saliba, Van Dijk, it's one of that. It's like a bit of a Prem All-Star. So, look, I'm actually happy. I hear you on Murillo. And I like to put another Forest player in there because I think the way they've played and how much pressure they are happy to let the defenders soak up and the keeper. I think it's only right. So, you know what? I'm not going to argue with that one, and I'm happy to.
I also think sometimes with the balance, because I put Timber in, I couldn't put another Arsenal one in. But Arsenal, in fairness, did have the best defensive record. It's sometimes the negativity around their season weighs you a little bit, but Saliba's had a great season. So we'll go Murillo on that.
We'll go Murillo on that one. We'll let you know,
Left backs, right? Okay. So for me, there was 3.
Yeah.
Aït-Nouri.
Yeah.
Robinson and Kerkez.
Yeah.
And it's that close. I just think when I was thinking about it, Robinson wasn't that good against United in the games I watched. Kerkez was good against United and City. And that just, in my head, swayed me a little bit. But the statistical output of Robinson is phenomenal, by the way. So, I mean, do you want to go on Robinson? I mean, what
mate, I think, listen, that's what swayed me. We all have the same names in our head. If you look at it as like a balanced player, you've got Kerkez, who's very young and he is a little erratic at times. However, amazing potential. And on his day, he's unstoppable when he gets motoring. If you look at the overall package, that's why I sort of went with Robinson. He's the more mature. He's been very solid defensively as well. And look, I mean, getting 10 assists from that position. And I feel like he's been overlooked in previous seasons as well. I think he was very good last year.
Yeah.
And I just think he deserves a little bit of. I thought he deserved his flowers, in fairness. And sometimes we can overlook these names because they don't play for the right club. And I was happy to put him in, but I do hear you. Obviously, you went Kerkez. Honestly, it's a flip of a coin. I like Kerkez. I'd have been happy if my team had assigned him.
I'll give you Robinson. I think it's right to give him some flowers that he's not really got this off season. Looks like he's going to be turning back up at Fulham. He's not going to get a big move so far anyway. Obviously, Aït-Nouri had a very good season. We did an episode on him if anybody wants to watch. Other than that, I didn't really have anybody else, to be honest, mate. I know, Gvardiol had his plaudits, but he's just not consistent enough in the defensive output of games. And the goals dried up for Gvardiol. He had about 4 at Christmas. Did he? And did he get?
Yeah, exactly. I think that the reason, I know we've got obviously quite a few City fans on that watch our videos and things, and might be a few click on this, and they might be wondering why I'm not backing our boy. However, I'd just like to ask the question then: if I was to put Gvardiol in, why am I happy, and we're all collectively happy that we're chasing Aït-Nouri, who is also in that list. And Pep, by the way, is chasing Aït-Nouri. We are probably going to sign him in the next couple of weeks. What does that tell you? If and by the way, if that aside, you just need to watch Gvardiol play games. He's defensively suspect, even going back to seasons where we sort of glossed over it because we were like, oh, everything else in the team's perfect. We're not going to hammer anyone. But look at that FA Cup final, that disaster with Ederson that he played a part in. And then he did pretty much a similar thing, just a lot further from goal against Bournemouth the other week. And we end up down to 10 men. It's to be honest, there's too many mistakes in his game defensively at the moment for him to go near that list. The other two names in Aït-Nouri and Kerkez, I was more than happy with any of them three. I think the reason Robinson gets the nod for me, it's his age. I feel like he hasn't got the flowers. 10 assists is exceptional, especially playing for Fulham. The other two lads are younger. They've got a lot more time to develop. So...
No, let's go with Robinson. I'm happy with that. Okay, midfield three. This gets a little bit different because we've got different systems. We'll try and go like for like in where we think. So let's start with... let's get obviously the DM out of the way. We've both picked Gravenberch, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Up until February, he was on for like top 3 player of the season. I don't know whether he was in the nominees. He probably still should have been, to be honest. I think they ran out of a little bit of gas towards the back end of the season, Liverpool. For what an absolute gem of a find from Slot. You've got to give Slot his massive credit here because nobody had Liverpool winning the league because they didn't have a DM, quote unquote.
Yeah.
To just come into the season, they didn't have a DM and they didn't have a number 10. They had what we thought was 3 8s. They played all 3 of them, and now we're looking at these things completely differently. With Szoboszlai as the 10, Gravenberch as the DM, and McAllister as the roamer. I mean, what an exceptional find by Arne Slot, and fair play to him, and he deserves massive credit for that. And he's got a Premier League winning medal for his efforts there.
Yeah, Alex, I'm with you. Gravenberch, look, we know how hard this position is to play. Look at my team, how they have struggled without, and not just this season, with obviously Rodri going out long term. You can go back down the years when Fernandinho was dropping off and suddenly we didn't have legs in there anymore.
Yeah.
It is the hardest position. It changes league titles. I don't think you can't win a league title without someone class in that position. Look at Liverpool when they had Fabinho, and now they've got Gravenberch. So, the fact he's been put in that list, in that ilk, he undoubtedly takes a spot. He's changed things for Liverpool massively, and he's, like you said, none of us thought he was going to really become this. I don't think we'd seen nowhere near enough for us to think he could have gone on and had the season he's had. So it took us all by surprise. Fair play to Slot. He must have seen it.
He always had that sort of ability to receive it, and he had that press resistance, and he always has that thing where when he's receiving the ball and he feels somebody coming, he drops his shoulder and rolls him in one move. He was very good at that.
Yeah.
Slot has gone, okay, can you do that, receiving it with a number 10 pressing you and receiving passes off Van Dijk and Konate? And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And then he's got the legs and he's got the pressing. I mean, look,
no, I agree. I agree with you, Alex. I think last season, what we saw from Gravenberch, I actually liked the signing, and I liked him last year. I just saw him more as an 8. I thought, he'll do a job for Liverpool, but like you said, I thought more on the half turn, not having that responsibility of being the last man in front of the defence. I just didn't think he'd be able to cope with that. But mate, fair enough. So Gravenberch, he slots straight in both of ours. No row there.
Yeah. Okay. So now it gets a little bit tricky because you've essentially got 4 forwards. I've got 3. So you've gone, let's just talk about them. You've got Declan Rice in there. I've got, let's compare Rice with Tonali. Okay?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And we'll compare McAllister with Mbeumo and work out the pros and cons there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, no, let's do McAllister, Rice and Tonali, right? And we'll work out which way to go with, whether we leave Mbeumo out for one of them, right? Okay, Declan Rice, Christian, had a very good season, no doubt about it. He was in my head, no doubt about it. Clearly, he has been very good for Arsenal. I think McAllister has been the best centre mid in the season for me. So he had to go in for me. In my head, there was no formation. In my opinion, I can't believe to the point where, I mean, I don't know whether he was nominated for Player of the Season. I think that he to play as many minutes as he did and be as consistent as he was, similar to Gravenberch. The feeling that, and maybe you're going to tell me in a minute, is I didn't want to put two Liverpool players in centre mid because then, well, fuck it, you just put Szoboszlai in as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I agree. You want that sort of, okay, let's give the nod to Gravenberch, Rice. You've balanced your takes, and I agree with you. But I think McAllister was that good. I just had to put him in. But I appreciate this as well.
Yeah, I can't argue with your point. I'm a big fan of McAllister myself. He was a name I was looking at, and yeah, I do feel like he's been very disrespected. I think in terms of like no one really mentioning his name, even amongst Liverpool supporters and things. I've not really heard too much grumblings that his name hasn't been put forward for Team of the Season. I think he did deserve his flowers, so I've actually no issue with it. The reason I went Rice is I just think since his signing, he has kicked on massively. Look, the champions. I know this is a Premier League team this season, but you've got to take a rounded view on what this guy has done all season. I think he has really stood up in big dog moments, and I think he was even good, even in the games, not just the free kicks, even Real Madrid away and then Paris away. He stepped up, and he was an absolute giant of a figure. He's become.
He was better at the Birmingham than he was at it.
He was, he was. You saw right, yeah. They were moments which were incredible, and it's a great highlight reel. But in terms of gameplay, yeah, I agree with you, Burn, about 100%. I think he's been unbelievable this season in terms of what Arsenal would have done without him, or where they would have looked. I don't think they get top four without Declan Rice. That's how big of a drop-off I actually think it is. I know you could obviously rival that by saying, listen, yeah, but I don't think Liverpool win the title, which is also a fair point. I think both are reasonable.
I think Rice deserves a spot. Obviously, I've put Tonali in as well, so I'm happy to sacrifice Tonali and have Rice and McAllister in centre mid, and we'll go 4-3-3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and by the way, just a quick one on Tonali. Shout out because he's one of my favourite midfielders in the league. Really big fan of him. I just think on the season these guys have had, I do really like McAllister, and I do feel like he has been a little bit disrespected.
Yeah.
Gravenberch has to go in, and I think Declan Rice, without his set pieces this year, without his driving runs from midfield, I'd fear to say where Arsenal would have ended up. So yeah, that's personally why I think we're making the right decision there.
I agree. I think we'll lean Rice over Tonali as the box to box.
Yeah.
But look,
this is where it's going to get tough now, though, because one of my forwards is going to go for a burn.
I'm a United fan. Tonali massively turned up in both those games.
He did.
But he does in every game. The athleticism, what he has turned that midfield into. Now he's
a fitness monster, isn't he?
Now he's stopped betting. I mean, even on the image on here, he looks like a tank, and it's only a close up of his face. It looks like his shoulders are up here.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Yeah, I mean, Newcastle got that midfield three set. I mean, they've just got to sort of improve them, and maybe add a bit of depth. But he's a huge part of that. I just wanted to give him a little bit of a shout, really. Any other centre mids, Christian?
Look, I mean, listen, you could even stick with Newcastle as well, because I mean, you don't need to go too far, do you? Guimaraes, I think he's had an exceptional year. Again, if you look at the way he's been playing, he's been so consistent. Newcastle have done really well to keep hold of him. There was rumours my club was in for Guimaraes. I know he's very respected by Pep. So I think there's a couple of names. Have you got any more in that position that you were having to think of?
Not really.
Caicedo?
I think Caicedo's had a very good season, yeah. A very good 7 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10. I think Szoboszlai's had a 7.5 out of 10 season. Struggling to think of anybody that's cracked an 8 or an 8.5, other than the ones we mentioned, though.
I think, look, just to say mention, my thoughts on this guy, and I'm not saying he should go in. However, I know if we do have any Forest fans that click on, or people in general that do like Gibbs White, they're going to say, look, Forest have, it's changed their fortunes. And he has had a good year, by the way. We're not disrespecting it. Just for me, if you're looking at the names in that midfield and what they give to their respective clubs, I just don't think he's got that ability for me to put him in there. And that's why, But I mean, look, I don't mind him getting a shout out in terms of he has had a very good season for Forest. So yeah, I thought it was worth a little mention.
Yeah, no, fair enough, Christian. I think that's really fair. Just another one. Oh, it's really bad now. Probably shouldn't have said anything because I can't remember his name. Plays for Fulham. DM from Burnley that United was sniffing round. I think he's had a very good season. Tall DM strolls round a bit.
I can't think. You're not doing that guy off. Who's your right back? You're not gonna go Haley Cropper or something, yeah?
Norris Cole. Sander Berge.
Sander Berge, yeah. No, I think he's mates with Haaland.
I think he's low key had a really solid season. Again, not going to go. He's nowhere near cracking Gravenberch for the DM, but he's. I think he's had a really good season, and again was very good against United when I watched them. We had them in the FA Cup as well, so I got a bit more to see of him. And look, interesting to see what happens next year with him if he can kick on, because clearly Fulham. I mean, God, it's one of the better signings United considered, and trust United, we didn't go through with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't stack up, but clearly Fulham saw something, and I think he's had a really solid season.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, overall, listen, that's our midfield. I think that's a strong midfield.
Yeah, I like that. Rice and McAllister either side of Gravenberch. Okay, so now we've got to get 4 players into 3.
4 players into 3.
As luck would have it, Christian, we sort of agree on the 3, looking at your list. But yeah, I do think there's a but here, right? So as you can see, my front 3 is Salah, Isaac, and Cunha. Salah and Isaac is absolutely not for debate. And then you've got Cunha as the 10 and then Mbeumo as the winger. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want
now? Yeah, I think that a winger, and Mbeumo is better. Although you've got Salah on the right, Cunha is a better 10, but we don't really have a 10 in a 4-3-3. So I have shoehorned him in a little bit on that left hand side. So I'm kind of here for. I think Mbeumo. Look, we just done both, really, haven't we? I mean, the fact United have got quote unquote 2 players in the team of the season. I'm expecting big things next year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, listen, I put 2 of them in there for you. I thought that cheer you up, mate. But yeah, so I mean, if you look at it, literal, you'd go, well, yeah, you've put Cunha in on that side because obviously Salah would be in his favourite position, which is also Mbeumo's favourite position.
Yeah.
So I suppose if you're looking at it, Cunha or Mbeumo, it's a conversation on the other side, but Mbeumo is a recognised winger. I think personally the season Mbeumo's had, and like we discussed in a previous video, if anyone wants to hit that up, we did a good section on him and his links to Man United at the moment. I want him in there just because I think he deserves that recognition. Interesting point you made that his previous season, he'd actually only played, did you say 28 matches?
Yeah, so he played 38 2 seasons ago, got 9. Then he got 9 the next season, but I think it was only in 25 games.
There you go. And then this season, 20 goals, 7 assists.
Very steady improvement in goal scoring for Mbeumo, which is really good. So, yeah, no, I'm fine with putting Mbeumo in. Cunha, fantastic season. I am absolutely chuffed with that signing. That bit of flair, bit of a maverick, brings a bit of swagger to the team. And he's been fantastic for Wolves. A great guy as well. Just off topic, Christian, I don't know if you've seen it. Little Wolves fan. I think the little boy might have had cancer. And Cunha went to his house to visit his family, and obviously the little boy was there in his little Wolves top. Cunha's gone round with gifts, and he's having a little chat with the little lad. And he says to him, like, would you like me to do a celebration for you when I score? And I think it was something like a J for his name. I can't remember the little boy's name. I think it'd be on J. And Cunha scored soon after, and it showed him going up to the camera doing the celebration.
Oh, that's epic.
So a lovely little video. If anybody wants to go and check it on, it must be on Wolves socials or something like that.
Yeah.
Just great to see from him, and I hope that carries through, obviously, to my club, and he continues being a good guy, because that's what it's about at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes, we forget with football players. I mean, I know he's had his discipline issues and things like that. But for me, one of them acts, it means more than any bullshit on the field or whatever the things we can look into and delve too much. So no, shout out Cunha. The reason, it's a tough one for this for me, because even though he is signing for Man United, he's one of my favourite players in the league. I love to watch Cunha play.
Yeah,
I'm frustrated you're getting him, to be honest. It's a bit of a grim one. It's like, yeah, a lad I used to work with, he was a United fan, and when we were signing Mahrez, he had a similar thing. He was like, I fucking love watching Mahrez play. And obviously he's going to City. And yeah, it feels a little bit like that. I love the way he plays. He's a bit of a throwback player. He's one of them where when the chips are down and other players don't really want the ball, he's like, fucking give it me. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to have a dribble at him. 93rd minute, you've got one chance left to win the game. Some players are like, you have a go. He'll be like, I will have a fucking go. And that's why I like him. Bit of a throwback. For me, I did want him in there, and that's why I went with that formation. But I do think we've made the right call with getting McAllister in. If I've got to miss out, I suppose this is the conversation we can lead on to, Alex. We're agreed on Salah. There's no argument there. We're agreed on Mbeumo after the remarkable season he's had.
Yeah.
So I suppose we're looking at Cunha as a 10 or Isaac as the 9, so you could have a Cunha false 9 sort of situation. Is there an argument for a Cunha over for Isak here, or
no? Isak has been that good. I love Cunha, and I think he deserves to make it. But they all do, really. I think Isak's got to make it. Just been brilliant. I mean, the goals alone. Just such a threat, and then the Carabao stuff. I mean, leading similar to the Munoz stuff. I mean, that got to count in something. Swatting them goals in against Arsenal. I mean, what the, he's just lethal. He is gets it down out of his feet, slaps it in. He's brilliant, Isaac.
Yeah, mate. Look, he was in mine anyway. I thought it was worth a bit of a devil's advocate pun with Cunha, just because I do like Cunha as a footballer.
Cunha deserves it as well.
Ultimately, if we're going 9, it's got to be Isaac. I don't think many people would argue. Look, couple of honourable mentions. I've got him on my back here, older Big Earl, but mate, I think you fall short this year for a few reasons. You were hit and miss with injuries. I do feel a little bit sorry for him because look, Haaland scoring 20 goals. To another striker, we will be like, they've had an amazing season. To him, we're like, he's had a fucking drop off. So he is almost falling a cropper to his own greatness. However, I just feel if you're looking at overall, take all the goals away from it anyway. I think if you look at the import and what that player has done for that team this year in Isaac for Newcastle, if we go to that cup win as well and how amazing that day was, and how he was, I won't say he carried him over the line, but he had a big dog moment in that game. I think you've got to go Isaac, and I don't think there's many complaints.
No, look, I mean, I think Haaland has battled well with the service has reduced this season. The cons to Haaland, there's been more occasions this season where I think he's struggled generally, as in the general play hasn't been as clean as it has been. There's been regression there, whether it's a case of he's not getting as many touches. I know he never got loads of touches, or it's just not as sharp with the team, and maybe a little bit of fatigue with the amount of games he's played. But I think he's battled well, man. And like you said, if you go from 36 to 28 to 20, you're almost going, well, why are you not back? Why are you not scoring? So there's that feeling.
And he started the season insanely well too. So it's one of them where you've got to look at that.
Like a different season ago.
Yeah, I remember. I was actually at your house and he scored a chip, and I think we won maybe 1-0 or 2. Was it 1-0 or 2-1? It was something like that. I really can't remember who it was against, but I remember he scored a chip, and you were just like, how many goals is he going to get this year? Like, my brother had a fucking few Sherbets. He comes in the living room, like, Haaland scored again. And he's just like, how many is he going to get this year? I think he was on, like, fucking 9 goals in the first few. It was something insane.
Honestly, I honestly think it was 8 in 3. And I think the game you're talking about is West Ham away. And I think he got a hat-trick.
It could have been. But yeah, no, either way, mate. Obviously, he started so strong. But yeah, I think a few honourable mentions. We're agreed on Isaac going in there. Not a problem with that. So we got our front three, got our whole team. A mention for me up front, I like Visa. I think he deserves a shout out, man. I mean, if you look at his statistics, I mean, fucking fair play Brentford this year, man. How mint they've been to watch. 19 goals, 4 assists. Exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant. Both him and Mbeumo have been fantastic, and I do think they deserve to have one of them two in. So if it's Mbeumo or Cunha, lean Mbeumo. But I do think Cunha deserves it as well. Just a difficult call. But yeah, Visa fantastic. We've got to shout Chris Wood out. I mean...
Yeah, definitely.
Just what an effort by him in a team that you're not going to strike out, service being amazing. To score, what did he end up on? 20 or something? I mean...
Yeah.
What an effort
at this time in his career as well.
Don't fall sort of cropper to the thought of him not being your cup of tea. 36 games, 20 goals, 3 assists. Brilliant. And he's 33, New Zealand striker. Is he 33 or 34 now? 33.
Yeah,
so to come and do that, what an effort. And I think he deserves massive credit.
It almost just seems like a new career for him, doesn't it? Because obviously we've seen him, we've known him for a long time, and we've not really seen this side to him. Obviously, he is a goal scorer, but nothing like this, and he's been consistent all year. To be fair, another reason, it's why I wanted to shout out Gibbs White. Forest, fair play, you've had a great season. Might not be to my preference or to my brother's, but I appreciate what you've done. And look, you can't always make football look pretty. If you want to climb up the league, and you've got to do things different, you've got to, stick your fucking heels in, a bit of grit and determination. So no, a couple of good mentions for them guys. Another one, Alex, I just wanted to mention to you, and it's a bit of a weird one with this fella because I thought he could have got a move, in fairness, and I still think he could. However, I don't think he will now because we obviously saw Duran go out, and it's Ollie Watkins. Obviously, we saw in January that Arsenal were sniffing round. I think they maybe had a bid rejected. I think Arsenal had no real intention to sign him. It felt like that Suarez thing they did years ago. They seem to be known for it. But yeah, just a little mention, mate. 16 goals, 8 assists. I think some really good numbers.
Tell you what, it doesn't feel like that, does it? Just on the surface.
It doesn't. It surprised me when I looked at it, but it's a bit of a strange one, Alex. He had a tough season in a way because Rashford comes in, and I think the manager was a little bit torn, wasn't he? Obviously, Rashford got the nod in some big games. PSG being a huge one, especially back at Villa Park. I think that'll fucking hurt Watkins that he didn't get the nod in that game. It's interesting going forward, but I think he definitely deserves a shout for this season. 16 goals and 8 assists. It's really good numbers.
No, really good, and I think some of the guys this season have really turned up numbers wise. And looking ahead to next season, I don't think his statistical output was good enough this year to get a mention. But I am looking next season at Evan Nielsen, Bournemouth. I do think there's more to come from him. So yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to see how he plays. He seems to have really good movement. And I think there's going to be more to come for him. Obviously, he replaced Solanke, didn't he, for this season? Settled into, and towards the end of the season, the few games I watched at Bournemouth, I thought he was really impressive. So, I think next season he could be one that develops into a really good player, and no doubt they'll sell him for a fucking shit ton as well. But he got 10 goals, Christian, in his first season in 31 games, 25 years old. So, yeah, I think that probably is a good place to wrap up on the strikers, and then we'll move on to Salah. But yeah, some good efforts from the guys. Finally, we've got Mo Salah on the right wing. Obviously, this is clearly a pick. Everybody, it's unanimous across anybody who's watched Premier League football this year. The numbers are just otherworldly. I mean, it's and again, I want to give Arne Slot his credit here for this because Salah spoke about his not having to run back as much and the covering of him, and that him and the manager sat down and looked at it. And there's no coincidence that he's gone and got 29 goals, and 18 assists. And I think he should have got more because I think he was on the verge of that 20 assists for a while. Which is Henry who holds the record of De Bruyne. I think it's Henry, isn't it?
Henry still holds it. De Bruyne got a dodgy one that should have stood. But yeah, Henry.
So, look, fantastic. Obviously, PFA Player of the Season. He's my Player of the Season. He was brilliant, and he's earned his big money, and he's got his big payday. And obviously, key for Liverpool is that he carries on in some ilk of this form. This might be his peak. I think he might sort of withdraw back to the 20 mark next year, but who would bet against him? I mean, this guy is an exceptional goal scorer.
Yeah, Alex, what a player. Premier League. I mean, he's a full-on Premier League legend, and he's still going at it. He's still in his peak, which is ridiculous. Do you know what's worth a mention as well is we've seen some Premier League greats in their time, different positions, of course. Like, we've had Sergio Aguero, Robin van Persie, we've had Eden Hazard, Bale. If you look at longevity-wise, for how long he's been at this level, I don't think there's anyone that even comes close. I know everyone's got their preferences. Listen, he's not my preference to my best ever Prem player.
Yeah.
I just think this is worth a shout. How hard this is to be at this level and consistent for this long, it honestly, it needs mentioning and it needs bringing up. There needs to be a conversation about it. Unbelievable player. How he does it year in, year out. That it's just a given that Salah's 20 plus every year from a wing position. It is phenomenal, and not only that, I think sometimes I was a bit. I fed into this a little bit, and I regret it now. And I used to say, "Oh well, he's a bit of a stat padder." Yeah, look, he is a pen taker and things like that. But you know what? I didn't give him the credit for how much his game has come on in terms of his passing ability, how good he is now. He has turned into an overall rounded, much better player than when he joined. He was always this good going forward and this rampant in front of goal. But Jesus Christ, man, what a player!
No, I think you make a really good point, and I think the league game at the Etihad, obviously against your club. He's passing. I mean, he was cutting in and he was playing like slide passes through like Messi. I know City's high line was daft, but he was so good in that game. Christian, we haven't got the numbers. We don't need the numbers. How many goals has he scored against our clubs? He must be in the teens.
It feels like every time. I mean, it must be close to. It feels like every time we play them, he scores. I mean, United, God knows, because he scored multiple in games, hasn't he? I mean,
I don't know why I'm laughing. It's fucking miserable.
So, I mean, I can't really laugh too much. No. He has got quite a few pens against City, but mate, he always shows up as well. So, yeah. And I remember a funny thing, Alex, and a lot of Liverpool fans, if there is any Liverpool fans watching this, I know they'll remember it. So when they signed him from, it was Roma, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Roma,
when they signed him from Roma,
ex-Chelsea.
And he won player of the month, either like his first or second month at Liverpool, and the admin of a Roma account on social media were like, get used to it, because they were like, you've got to. They fucking knew. They knew what they sold, which is ridiculous because of the price he went for. And by God, was that correct? Because, like I say, the ability this guy has and how good he has been for this long, no one could have foreseen it. So, yeah, shout out Salah, man. And please, can you just let up a little bit, because can't do another year.
It's just every game he scores against United. It's just a joke. Christian, he's 5th all-time top Premier League scorers. We are looking at a player here. If he started his career in England, I know he sort of did with Chelsea, but he left and came back at, was he late 20s? Well, maybe 26 or something like that.
Yeah, like mid.
Mohamed Salah scored more goals than Sergio Aguero. And by the way, you think he's slowing? You think he's 5th all time? Well, he's 1 goal behind Andy Cole, so you can put him straight into the top 4. If he scores, he's 14 plus. He's 22 away from Rooney in 3rd.
So he's gonna bypass that because he's got another 2 years.
He's got another 2. So he is a lock to go at least 3rd all time. I think after that, then Harry Kane is 213, and clearly Shearer is 260. So I doubt he'll probably. I think Kane he could easily be 2nd all time, and he's a right forward. He's not he is a poacher, but he's not a number 9. He is a forward, but he does it from that angle, that right hand side. He's brilliant at it, and that's enough waxing lyrical over Mo Salah. But great season, and look, what can you say? How many players did we have in of Liverpool between us? Then I think we have 4.
So we had Van Dijk.
4 of them,
yeah. Van Dijk, Gravenberch, Salah.
On that right hand side,
McAllister.
Saka didn't do enough for me.
No, look,
very good footballer.
He can have a shout out. I think when he was fit, he put in some great performances. I just feel like, look, he was out injured for too long, so I think that just takes him out of the conversation. Be interesting to see with Saka, because he really is stepping up in big moments for Arsenal. So I don't want any of my rivals to get any better, but in terms of an England point of view, I hope this lad can kick on, because he does, when he's on his day, he's close to unstoppable. So it'll be interesting. It's a big year for Saka next year.
Sure, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Saka. I think he's a really good footballer, but I mean, look, it feels like for as long as Salah wants, that right-hand side position is in the team this season. Yeah. Okay, Christian, let's let people watch it, comment, tell us which team beats each other, and what do you think of our combined? We've sort of ran through it as we've gone there. I think Rice, McAllister, Gravenberch midfield is a lock-in, really. So
I think I think we made the right decision. I'm really happy with the final lineup. Just one thing that you mentioned at the beginning: if my team would take your team on, who we picking on? Honestly, because I think if you look at the both, I just think my balance in midfield, although I lose the creativity of McAllister, I think Cunha coming in replaces that, and I think Rice and Gravenberch gives that perfect balance, and have them driving runs from midfield. Yeah, what are you saying?
Yeah, so I think I'll have the better of the midfield battle with Tonali being my extra man.
Yeah,
but I think you're more of a goal threat.
Yeah, I'd run.
So I think I'll give you the nod. Yeah. I'd have to set up to keep the ball for a bit.
We'll have to get a FIFA game on this. We'll do a little All-Star one time and see who takes it.
I hear you. Well, I've got a PS5 now, so yeah. Brilliant, Christian. Thanks for that. I'm sorry it's a bit late, guys, if you're watching this, but not much has changed. There's our team of the seasons on the screen. Let us know what you think. Who's got the better team? Christian, me, whichever one you think, let us know in the comments. Appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.
See you later.